Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this tutorial, I'll be demonstrating how to create this fun gender reveal style cake. This is in collaboration with the very talented Blue Pixie Cupcakes. Don't forget to check out her awesome video at the end of this one. I'll start off with making the booties because they're going to need ample time to dry. These are tennis shoe cookie cutters by Cakes by Samina. I will leave a link to this particular set in the description box below. You'll want to cut out some white and blue fondant and then stick that sort of tongue piece to the very base of your shoe. I've scrunched up some tissue paper and just inserted it underneath. This will help the fondant dry standing and raised. Take the outside of the shoe, give it a little bit more of a rollout in the center if you want it to be longer, and then stick it to the sole and also to the tongue of the shoe. I've just used a little bit of water here. You can use gum paste if you can find it, otherwise fondant works just as fine. For the front of the shoe, I've chosen to go in white and then a little strip all around the base of your little shoe in white again. I made the mistake of drawing this directly on my countertop. I highly recommend building this on some non-stick baking paper because the fondant underneath, I didn't realize, would be wet and it will stick to your countertop and you could end up destroying your little shoe. This is the point where I realized this. So I just took a little sharp spatula and kind of peeled it off my countertop and onto some baking paper. Take a round fondant tool and just kind of indent little holes into the sides of your shoe there. That'll make room for some shoelaces. Roll out the strand with a fondant smoother just to make sure that it's all the same the whole length through. Otherwise, sometimes you have some thicker areas and some thinner areas. The fondant smoothing tool just makes sure that it's all uniform. Stick it to your little shoe with a bit of water, and then your first shoe is complete. Repeat again, this time using pink fondant instead. I recommend when you roll out your fondant for this project, make sure it's nice and thick, about 3 to 4 millimeters in thickness when you roll it out. Any thinner can cause a little bit of problems. Maybe your shoe might droop or the fondant doesn't want to stand up on its own. The thicker it is, the more stable it will be. However, it will need extra time to dry, so I recommend doing this the night before if you can. I kept my colors whole. You could do marbled sort of a fondant effect here instead to make it extra interesting. You could add little stars on the side of the shoe. There's actually a lot that you can do with this. Stick on those shoelaces and set aside to dry completely. For the cake, you will need 2 6 or 5 inch cakes that are round. Either size will work perfectly. I cut 2 of my cakes in half, which means I'll have 4 layers of cake in total. Take out the center with a cookie cutter and then stick it onto your cake board with some buttercream. Fill in with more of that buttercream. And then the very last layer doesn't actually have a hole cut through, so leave that solid. And in the meantime, you can just kind of fill in with whatever you like. I've chosen pink candy. And then again, applying that top and last layer of cake with more buttercream. This is going to be a little bit unstable because the center has been taken out. So what I'll do is I'll press that buttercream up against the side, pop it into the freezer in the meantime for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then prepare my sprinkles in the meantime. Give them a little bit of a toss in a bowl so all the colors kind of blend through. Pop it aside and then grab your cake and create that crumb coat. Now that's been sitting in our freezer long enough, it's not going to move around and misshape as we apply our decorative layer here. Because I will be covering this whole thing in sprinkles, I'm only going to add the crumb coat but make it extra thick. It'll trap in the crumbs and it might have a little bit of crumbs showing through here and there, but because it's nice and thick, it'll still look relatively neat under the sprinkles. Smooth it out, bring that little bit of frosting to the middle, and then gently kind of place your cake on a diagonal into the bowl. And grab a handful of your sprinkles, press it to the base of the cake, and then gently move it up. I have never had a messier kitchen after this particular cake. If you have a look, the sprinkles are bouncing out of the bowl. It looks terrible. Anyway, you might need a little extra sprinkles for this kind of project, or just a really big bowl, much bigger than what I had here. Once your whole cake has been covered, now you can add on your little buttercream panels. I started at the top, flattened out the buttercream, and then I'm piping the panels onto the cake. Give them a little bit of a zigzag so that they're not just linear, they look a little bit more interesting, and fill in any pockets that you have as well. I decided to go in with 4 rows of this kind of buttercream. Smooth it out with your frosting scraper. This will flatten it out and they will expand, so start them off nice and thin, and then if you want them to be thicker, you can add in buttercream at this stage just to thicken it up, or to add any buttercream where spaces are missing if there's any little pockets here or there. Once you're happy with the smoothness, bring that lip of frosting to the center, and your cake is pretty much done. Now you just got to add your edible decorations. On go the shoes, taking out the tissue now that they're nice and dry. And I decided to also go in with luster dust covered Maltesers in gold, and then little edible driggies all around the cake, just at the seam of each line. And there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and give it a go. If you do, hashtag Rosie's Dessert Spot so I can see your gorgeous creations as well. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and also don't forget to check out Blue Pixie Cupcakes video in collaboration with this one. She has prepared some beautiful gender reveal cupcakes for you guys. Link will be in the cards and in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again in the next one.